Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to remove the magnets out of the JP retracts so that the braking is proportional. The purpose of the magnets is to hold the striker plate, which I'll take this apart and show you. This is the steel plate that the magnets actually engage, and they're held in place by the screws on the back side of the wheel. So if you look closely in here, there are 3 spots where there are magnets placed, and what that does is it holds this off of the magnet when the brakes are not engaged. The problem with that is it requires a certain amount of braking force to unlodge the magnets to then grip the brake pad and slow the wheel. And that's what destroys the proportional braking, okay? So if you take the magnets out, then this striker plate basically just floats in there. It's not ideal, but it's way better than not having proportional braking. So take the wheel apart. You got your magnet here, take that out, set that aside. Take your striker plate out, set that aside. Now, when you pull your axle out, you have to be really, really careful because there is a tiny little shim sitting on top of that bearing right there. And I'm gonna pull that out and show it to you. I can't even tell you how many of these shims I have lost. They're hard to find, so don't lose it because it's important. Set that aside, okay? Pull the axle out, okay? Now on the front side of the wheel, the other side of the wheel, I've already pulled out 5 of the 6 bolts that hold the hub on. So in the interest of time, just to kind of speed things up, I'm gonna pull this 6th bolt out, okay? And then this whole plate comes off, okay? Now I've already popped the magnets out of this one, but if you look closely, you can see that there are 3 spaces where there are little magnets. If you look closely at your wheel, you'll see them. Simply take a hex driver or a small punch and just punch those magnets. They'll just pop right out, okay? Pop them right out, okay? I'll show you what the magnets look like. Here are a couple of them. They're really tiny and hard to pull apart, but this is 3 of the magnets right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll hold it up here. And you can see very closely that this is what the magnets look like, okay? That's 3 of them. So you pull those out, and then it's just a matter of putting the wheel back together, okay? So what you do, the first thing you do is to put the hub back in. Make sure you get this lined up with the holes. Put your screws in. I usually just put 1 in just to get it aligned, but don't tighten it up. And then you put the rest of these in, and you want to make sure that you tighten them evenly in a star kind of fashion like you would change a car tire, to make sure that there's even pressure on the tire. So this plate is what actually holds the tire onto the rim. So we'll make sure we get that in there, like so. Oops. Now these bolts, what they do is they go through the other side of the rim and stick out the width of this striker plate. And that's what keeps the striker plate from rotating. Okay, so we'll just tighten these up. You know, not super tight, just snug. Just snug. Okay, now that those are tight, now as I said before, those bolts stick through just a little bit here, and it's just the width of this brake plate. All right, so it sits in there like that. Now, the next thing you do is put the axle back in. Okay, then make sure you get your shim, put your shim back in on top of that guy, okay? Then the magnet goes in, boom, and then it rotates. Now you can hear it, if you shake it, you can hear the brake plate rattling around in there. It's not that big a deal, okay? But you can see it rolls pretty good. And now what will happen is that brake plate will just float in there, and if you just apply a little bit of braking, it doesn't have to overcome the magnets, and you will get really good proportional braking out of these JP brakes, even though the manufacturer says they're not proportional. They actually are proportional. The controller is proportional, and they work really well if you take these magnets out. All right, hope this was helpful.